Hello, everybody. We're here with the Pilsen Alliance. Today I'm joined by Isara Flores and Xochitl Perez. Here's our two great organizers, and we're here to talk about the work we've been doing lately as the Pilsen Alliance. So I want to start off the show by talking about a very important issue that's been going on in the community, and that's access to resources, right? So if you've kept up with the news, especially with the losing of Casa Aslan, which was like a community center. You know, it was like a community center. People would go in, have art programs, after school programs for kids. So the current campaign we're working on is, bringing back another Casa Aslan-like community center, and in the form of the APO building, which is over on 18th and Bishop. So, since with the rapid gentrification of our community, we lost, special community places for the community to interact with. Mm-hmm. So our current campaign is, to, bring back more resources to the community because, so far, rapid displacement has left, a void when it comes to community centers. So, I just want to turn to y'all. What do y'all think about the lack of resources here in the community, especially on community centers and programs for the youth here, and the importance of it?
So lately, in some of the conversations that we've been having with different members of the community, right, we talk to artists, we talk to organizers, we talk to other activists within the community, and one thing that we notice is like the lack of space, right, and the very pivotal point or the use of Casa Aslan, which was a community space where a lot of organizations and artists and groups had their beginnings in Casa Aslan, and now we're seeing a lot of those places diminished within Pilsen, and you kind of see it spreading right from the east side of Pilsen, and moving now more west. So you even see this within schools, and the space that schools are able to provide to the communities, right, with two of our schools being on a list of potentially being closed. Mm-hmm. A lot of the work that Isaura and I do is specifically talking to the community, different community members, and seeing, like, what do you want to see in your community? Like, what are the things that are community assets for you, or assets or resources in your community? And there's even within that, there's a lot of distrust, right? Because there are certain communities or community organizations that are offering, let's say, benefits, but are charging a certain type of fee, or, are during certain times where it's not accessible. So we're seeing this great need right now within the Pilsen community for resources, not only for adults, but also for children, especially because a lot of the enrichment courses or the extracurricular courses like art, music are being cut from schools, and even after school programs, and even science courses are being taken down from schools. So what we're really seeing is a loss of these resources in our community. So as an organization that works for the community, for us, it's important to see what can we do, right, with the connections that the Pilsen Alliance has with other organizations. How can we all work together to build a strong foundation, right? How do we support each other within a community? And then and we've even had conversations about, like, what does community even mean, and what is the importance of physical space within the community, right? Like, are we talking about the space that you hold within your body, the space that we're holding in this room, the spaces in schools, community spaces, galleries, right? Like, all of these places and spaces have intention, but what does that look like, and what does that mean for a community that's quickly losing these resources, needs them, and at the same time is going through a variety of exterior traumas and problems? So I think as an organization, right, we're kind of trying to mediate all of those conversations with different members of the community, and see just how we can all really work together, because as we all know, a lot of the public servants, which are our politicians, they don't, one, want to hear the members of the community and their needs, and two, they don't want to let go of the money that they're getting in order to serve the needs that the community is, needing.
Yeah. What's your take on lack of resources and lack of spaces, Isaura? What do you think about all this?
Yeah, I think Sochi made a lot of great points. And, it's just about the fact that it's not, that we don't have spaces in Pilsen, that we don't have art galleries, that we don't have, these places for enrichment. It's just that they're not accessible. They're not, free. They're not targeted to longtime members of the community. And so what we're trying to do is give the community some sort of autonomy in, having ownership over these public, what should be public spaces, and allowing them to have the initiative to decide for themselves what they want to see and what they need.
Yeah.
And what resources they would like to bring into the community. And, we're trying that a few different ways with, community benefits agreements, and trying as best as we can to team up with businesses and artists and professionals and people of all kinds to just, create a pool of resources that we're able to draw from freely, accessibly, and to provide that at no cost,
Yeah. The trend we see when gentrification comes, right? When neighborhood starts becoming, up and up, so they speak, they target the community centers, right? Like, Gasaslan, Talia Hall, they go for the anchors of the community. So Talia Hall, became Dusex, and then they targeted Gasaslan. So what we really want to do is fight back against that, try to advocate, most of the work we do is reactionary, right? But this time we want to be proactive and start a new community center, bring back the community spaces, bring back the community, because, like what Sochi Hisara is saying, we do have resources, but most of the time it's closed off. It's only for the select few, you got to sign up. We want to have accessible community programs here for the for the youth. So the reason we're talking about this, because we have a very important community meeting coming up this Saturday, right? So it's specifically talking about this, a community center, for the people of the community, for Pilsen, for the youth. So I'm gonna point you guys over here to our Facebook. So we got, okay, so we got our community event going on. So it's gonna be Saturday at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock to 12. It's going to be at the St. Pius Church, 1919 South Ashland. So we're going to be talking about reclaiming the APO building for the community. Because like I said, we feel that the APO building, could be the new community center. That brings people together, that provides that, that space for the community to be able to, have the resources, have the programs to fill the void that was lost by Casa Aslan. So yeah, we feel lack of spaces, lack of resources, and we gotta be proactive and create new spaces, for our community to thrive, and because currently we're battling displacement, and gentrification. We gotta be proactive, and, advocating for new spaces. So,
Yeah. And also tomorrow, Javi, if you can put that event. So tomorrow at the Pilsen Alliance, 1744 West 18th Street, we're going to have a conversation with people from the community, from the Pilsen community, as Isaura said, with different backgrounds, different skill sets, to come and talk about the things that they can share for the community, right? If you have a skill to share, if you are interested in doing a workshop, if you even have space, free space where the community can gather, we invite you to come tomorrow. It's at 7 p.m. and just kind of to continue on this conversation of resources and of spaces, and also how do we as a community of people. How do we work with each other? How do we build each other up? Because one thing during these times that we're seeing now, and even within like other organizations who have been doing this type of work, is just like, how do we bring back the humanity? How do we talk to each other again? How do we, see a person within our community as valuable? How do we create social capital, right? How do we create a world that is planned by us, that is created by us, and no longer putting the responsibilities on the politicians of this world? Because as I think I mentioned before, they're not necessarily working for
Working on
us,
our interests, yeah.
right? So it's just like changing the script of like, for some of these things, like we got it, like the community, we can have each other's backs. Like, if a parent wants a certain type of class, like, we have these connections where we can reach out to these folks and have some type of training or workshop together, right? Because also with the loss of space and the loss of resources, what you see is that, how is that harming our communities? What is that happening on all these different levels that incorporate a community, and how does it reach the family, and then how does that reach an individual?
Yeah.
So I would like to propose that question to you all.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Isara and Sochi, they've been doing some great work, trying to reach out to those community members who have like, access to resources, who are teachers, who are artists, but like right now it's like we're kind of like separated. So what we're trying to do is like build that interconnectivity, among the people here, in the community, even the whole city, because like, a lot of us are doing great work, but some of us are off here, some of us are over here, we gotta bring everybody together, to bring all the resources together, because we have a lot of great people in our city, a lot of great people in our community. But like I said, like without like any central spaces like a Casa Salon or a community center, everybody's off on their own doing. So that's what the meeting tomorrow is about. Tomorrow at the Pilsen Alliance office. It's over at right here, 1744 West 18th Street. So that meeting is going to be tomorrow at 7. So if you are an artist, a teacher, concerned resident or parent, someone who wants to help uplift the community, I encourage you all to come. So that's another meeting. So we got tomorrow Thursday, 7 o'clock, and Saturday.
There will be childcare provided tomorrow as well.
So we'll provide, so if you have any children, we'll have childcare to take care of them. So 2 events this week. We're doing, the meeting tomorrow at 7 o'clock, and also the community forum for the community center, 10 o'clock at St. Pius Church. So those are, just 2 meetings coming up if you want to get involved. We encourage everybody. Yeah. Another thing too, I want to discuss with y'all, the current fight for rent control in Illinois, in the city of Chicago. Because like we were mentioning, rapid gentrification and displacement of low-income people. Really the laws in place aren't really helping, the low-income people. So that's one of the other things the Pilsen Alliance is working to push, is to lift the ban on rent control. So to give some context of what the lift the ban is, currently it's against the law in the entire state of Illinois for any city to put their own rent control law. So if like Chicago wants to make it a rent control law, you have to get rid of the preemptive act on the state level. Once we get rid of that, then we can pass our own law in the city of Chicago. So that's another campaign we've been working on here as the Pilsen Alliance. We're actually advocating for a referendum to lift that ban on rent control. We got a part of a Lift the Ban coalition citywide. And, we door knocking, advocating for this issue, because, we gotta have a, multi-step process to solve these issues, so we're trying to, do some reforms among the city and state in order for us, to pass, to advocate for the working families here in the neighborhood and across the city too. And yeah, I want to get y'all's opinion. What do y'all think about like the reform campaigns that we're working on here in the city, state, in general? So
I think it's necessary. I think it's necessary, and how is it that every year rents can go up, and because of taxes, right? But at the same time, minimum wage doesn't go up at the same time, or people's pay stays at a certain level. So it's just like how is it feasible for a working class family to pay the amounts of rent, the amount of money that a lot of owners are asking for rents in Pilsen, right? With the one at Casa Slan where they're charging $1,000 per bedroom, right? $4,000 for a month for a 4-bedroom apartment. It's just who's supposed to be, who pays for that? It's crazy.
It's a certain demographic they want to bring in. I mean,
exactly.
What, $4,000 a month rent? I mean, how many locals do I know that could afford that? I mean, it's intentional. They want to bring in a new population.
Exactly, and then right, so like this fight, or this referendum, it means more than just someone being able to keep their apartment, which is so important, and like where so many people are right now. Like people are on survival mode, like in the United States, especially people of color. Like we are on survival mode. Like I said, there's other exterior things going on, and then on top of that, like even if you have children as a parent, like feeding your kid day to day, and then ending up having to pay, like your landlord just decides to raise the rent because of the water tax or because of property tax. What does that mean for the family? Like it really, it's destructive. Displacement, not being able to pay for your rent. It's psychologically, emotionally destructive. And we've heard parents that like end up having to leave the community, and their kids have to travel from further areas of Chicago to come to the schools. It's just like, it makes me think as a human being, what are these kids having to go through?
Yeah.
Right? When it gets cold in Chicago, like I don't even like being outside for 5 minutes,
Yeah,
and then we have to send these like little ones off to school. And then right, that traveling time, what does that do to their learning, to their education, to them doing their homework? Like it's just having a place, having a home is so important, and like you said, Javi, it is intentional.
It's intentional.
Right? There's the state tells you we're broke. The city tells you we're broke, but yet they have so much money for.
They got money for Amazon, but not for CPS.
Yeah,
not
they
for
have
schools.
They have money to subsidize Amazon for them to come into Chicago. They have money for, and I'm gonna say it, they have money for the police.
Yeah.
They have 80 million for that. They have 95 million to build a new police academy.
Yep. What are the priorities?
What are the priorities? And it's just like, the people. I've been living in Chicago my whole life, and it's just like these politicians have never served me personally. Like they don't pay my rent, they don't feed me, like but yet I'm paying theirs,
Yep.
and I'm feeding them. So how is this okay? Like how is it okay for them to put a ban on rent? Like
Yeah.
and then for them to be able to manipulate and play with taxes whenever they want, and be able to charge whatever they want, knowing that the working class family are the ones who are really the backbone of the economy, not only in Chicago but worldwide.
Yeah. I mean, I think you hit it straight on. Like I said, I mean, they tell us that we're in a fiscal crisis. We can't fund the schools. We can't fund, social services like healthcare. But like we said, when it comes to police academy, when it comes to Amazon, corporate subsidies, all of a sudden they got money. They got all the money in the world. It's no problem. Oh, but CPS, healthcare, we're broke. So, I mean, it's on us, to fight for reform. Fight for reform like rent control. Take our own destiny in our own hands, too, because reform's one thing, but we also got to like we said earlier, fight for the spaces in our community.
Yeah.
So that's one of the stuff.
I think one of the things I really took away from, we recently had some awesome people from Boyle Heights visit, and shout out to Boyle Heights, defend Boyle Heights, and they came and they shared their knowledge, they shared their experience, we shared ours, and it really felt like we weren't alone in the world. This is really globally, it's a global phenomenon, gentrification, and it's class warfare. It really is. It's class warfare, and it's traumatizing. It's traumatizing to see people, working class people that represent your experience, to be labeled as disposable.
Exactly.
And it's hard to see how easy it is for these politicians, these corporate rich billionaires to just, contain us in these disposable communities. They're, as David Stovall says, they're engineered conflict in order to...
Shout out to David Stovall.
Yeah. But yeah, it's truly traumatizing to see happen right before your eyes, and that's why we're doing our best to provide whatever we can as an organization, to assist in whatever way possible.
Yeah, and it's not only on us too; it's on everybody. I mean, everybody in the whole city. We got a long fight ahead of us. With the gentrification. Militarized police, budget cuts in our schools, budget cuts in our healthcare service, privatization of everything in the whole city. I could go on for hours. But like I said, we really want people, watching right now to get involved. Get involved with the Pilsen Alliance. And if you're not in Pilsen, get involved with your local community organization, or if you don't have one, start your own.
Yeah.
Because we got a long fight ahead. We got a whole world to win,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
'Cause it's gonna take everybody, taking on this fight, advocating, advocating for the voiceless, so.
And like Javi said, and Isaura, just to touch upon this, it's this is a global phenomenon, and it's not something, right, it has a new name, gentrification, right?
Gentrification, yeah.
But it's been going on to probably every continent in this world, from the Europeans, right? So this continues to be a fight for land, a fight for the dignity to live the way that we want to live, right? The way that we want to flourish, instead of being told, like Isara said, no, this is the space that you can be in, and this is when it's okay. It's okay for you to celebrate your culture during Cinco de Mayo and have the world celebrate with you, right? We're tired of this. It's done, and I think that's what, going this referendum, and even the work that we're trying to do goes beyond that. Is that this, these are same battles with a different name, right? So it has to end. I know for a fact I don't have children yet, but I don't want my children living in this type of society, this capitalist society that values money as opposed to human values.
People are being commodified, and it's only going to take people rising up and challenging the current structures that exist. So, well, that's our time, everybody. So, like I said, we got 2 community meetings coming up tomorrow, 7 o'clock at the office, Pilsen Alliance, and Saturday, St. Pius. So, we hope to see everybody there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you all for watching.